We know that coal has to be on its way out if we're going to address climate change. But that doesn't mean that communities that have depended on it for decades have to also be left out. My name is Josephus Allmond. I'm a senior associate attorney here at SELC in the Charlottesville office. Since about the early 1900s, coal extraction and processing has been sort of the biggest industry in Southwest Virginia. Those communities had really negative land use effects that happened from these coal mines. Coal extraction and processing is a dirty business. Places like Southwest Virginia are facing an inflection point. Industry that sort of sustained that region for decades and decades is now on its way out. Those mines are closing, those generating units are closing, but those folks still live there, and they need to take care of their families and be able to provide them with a good living. Increased investment in solar can really provide those communities with a lifeline, I think, and allow them to sort of reclaim their economic independence.
So we're in St. Paul, Virginia right now. It's a small town in Southwest Virginia and the former coal town. As we see coal on its way out, small towns like this are trying to reimagine themselves and think about ways that they can give a boost to their economy. Community solar is, I think, a great option for small towns like St. Paul. If you can see some of the surrounding area, a lot of the residences, it look like, don't have great roofs, and so a lot of times that disqualifies a home from getting solar on the roof.
For folks that can't put solar on their own homes for whatever reason, maybe they don't own their homes, maybe they live in an apartment building or a townhome, have a roof that gets too much shade, I see it really as an equity issue. The community solar program really allows a group that's historically been left out of the solar conversation to participate in the clean energy economy.
The community solar program can allow folks like that to subscribe to an off-site solar facility and have bill credits that offset their normal bills, so that'll provide them benefits just the same.
Those folks might not be able to point to panels on their roofs, but they can point to a solar facility that they're subscribed to and say with pride that they're helping generate clean energy. And so I think allowing folks at all income levels to be able to take pride in that is something that's really important. The Inflation Reduction Act provides a big opportunity for Southwest Virginia to really incentivize community solar. The only thing that needs to be done to ensure that community solar can really flourish in Southwest Virginia is expanding Virginia's shared solar program to Appalachian Power Company territory. Federal action and state action are both necessary pieces of the puzzle as we think about the clean energy transition. And that's why we spent considerable time at the legislature trying to expand the program into Appalachian Power Company's territory. And so SELC played a big role there in helping draft the legislation and work with partners. On the federal level, the Inflation Reduction Act has historic incentives for renewable energy projects that are sited on former coal mines, former coal generating units. That has an opportunity to be a really nice complement to Virginia's existing brownfield program. While it was created in 2020, the legislature never appropriated any funding to it. So we were trying to get some funding for that program. While we weren't successful this year, I think we envision ourselves playing that same role next year. And so I think wherever there's room for a state level policy that could incentivize more solar in Southwest Virginia, SELC will be there trying to make that a reality in the General Assembly.
We're right outside of Wise, Virginia, and right behind me you can see the Mineral Gap Data Center, and then right next to it you can see the solar array that powers the data center's operation. I don't know if you can tell from the shot, but this whole area used to be an old coal mine, and we were sort of looking around, trying to find evidence of it, and then we looked down and saw coal just on the ground around here. Putting solar arrays on sort of disturbed land like this is ideal for what we're looking to do in Virginia to avoid some impacts to farm and forest. And so you can imagine a similar scenario throughout Southwest Virginia where you have sort of an abundance of old abandoned coal mines that could be used to become community solar sites. The Inflation Reduction Act was, I think, a real game changer for solar projects in the country. It raised the base investment tax credit up to 30% and put that into code until 2032, so developers have some certainty that they'll be able to rely on that tax credit for years to come. But then I think Southwest Virginia is poised to take advantage of the IRA in such a great way because they have so many of these former coal mines, and each one of those would be eligible for the energy community bonus that the IRA contains. And so on top of that 30%, you would stack another 10% investment tax credit. And then a lot of the area is low income. You then get an additional investment tax credit. And so for projects that are sited smartly here in Southwest Virginia, developers could be looking at 60% off of the total project cost, which really makes these projects a no-brainer.
There are a ton of brownfield sites in Southwest Virginia. All are ripe for redevelopment, and legislation like the IRA and the energy community bonus really makes investments like that more feasible. SELC is opening up access to solar policy in the Commonwealth. We advise the Solar Work Group of Southwest Virginia. That work group has been involved in changing Virginia policy to allow places like schools to be able to enter into power purchase agreements to get solar on their own roofs. You know, we had our in-person meeting for the work group last fall, and we actually, as a part of that meeting, got to do a ribbon cutting at Wise Primary School.
You can see on the roof here, they recently installed a solar system, and the solar system is going to generate about 50% of the school's electricity needs. The system's already generated savings in year one for the school district, and so they were projecting about $7 to $8 million in savings over the life of the project. For a small primary school like Wise, that pencils out to a lot of different projects.
In 2016, when that work group started, that school couldn't even get solar. And now, flash forward 6-7 years later, now we have Wise Primary School and 11 other schools in Southwest Virginia that have gone solar so far, and that'll be seeing significant energy savings for the foreseeable future. SELC played a big role in assisting with the drafting of that legislation and meeting with key partners to ensure that that legislation actually got passed.
In places like Southwest Virginia, where there's still some work to get the public really bought into solar, I think putting solar on schools and having it in the central location is a great way to sort of show how it works and show that it can be really beneficial to communities and overcome some of that skepticism.
I get excited about those communities really embracing solar and making it work for them. You know, they've been the energy generation centers of the country for a long time. I don't think there's any reason that needs to stop. It just needs to take a new form of electricity generation. We really want to make sure that all the benefits in the IRA are capitalized upon. And so that means ensuring that a community solar program exists for Appalachian Power Company's territory, which overlaps with most of Southwest Virginia. It means securing more funding for Virginia's brownfield program to work with the IRA's energy community bonus to make those projects even more feasible. And I think there's a lot of room to show that that model really works and export it throughout the South and export it throughout the country. I think along with the IRA's opportunities, there is sort of this responsibility to ensure that our clean energy transition brings all folks along. It's sort of poetic as we think about our energy transition. Some of the dirtiest sites in our country that used to be coal mines being coupled with solar energy and providing clean energy for the foreseeable future. I think that's a really exciting concept.